Hi, good afternoon, everyone who's joined us for our last, but I'm going to say not the least important workshop. We've had some very stellar educationalists with us all the way from March to April, topics that are interesting, relevant, work in your classrooms, lots of feedback about them, leaving people with thoughts and strategies. So just not leaving it as an open-ended discussion, and it's my privilege and honor to welcome Naimisha Sanghavi for this last workshop. It's a topic that is very close to my heart, and I know she's a passionate educator, all of 20 years. She does come from a management background. She's done a lot of content curation, development, nurturing ideas, more than 1,000 learning tools. A K to 5 specialist. So it's hugely a privilege to have her lead this particular workshop. I always say that when we talk about art integration, it's led to a little bit of skepticism. Your math teachers and your English teachers and even your dance teachers feel that ye to hoga, let's focus on the academia. Let's focus on those, especially now, with board exams cancelled. Everyone wants those learning outcomes. But what if those learning outcomes, like she points out, can be beautiful, can be therapeutic, can be life changing, can work with the left and right brain balance? So much can be achieved in a non threatening manner. And I think if the one thing the pandemic has taught us, empathy, creativity, non-traditional subjects are the subjects that are going to define the way the future generation evolves. And therefore, without further ado, and I know she's got lots of strategies for us, I'm going to welcome her. I'm going to also say that we all are going through extraordinary circumstances. So thank you so much for giving us your time today. And those who've tuned in, thank you so much for remaining so committed to this passion of ours, which is creating better teaching learning. Honestly, it's a community that's come together. So the one thing I've learned in the pandemic is we're all in it together. Collaboration, connect. I've had more conversations than I would have in the physical world. So there's something to be grateful for. And on that note, I'm going to hand over the platform to her and let's hear it from her. You can chat away. Please put your comments down. If there's something interesting, I'm going to take the liberty of interrupting and mention that. Let's make it interactive. Let's have fun. We have 1 hour together. It's a Saturday afternoon. I know we all have to go and watch our IPL after this, but let's use this opportunity to be really productive and be inspired by someone who inspires me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fatima. And before I begin, thank you so much, Swati ma'am, for having this kind of vision. Thank you so much, Farzana ma'am, for being vice president to an institute that brings so much more to the teaching fraternity. And of course, Fatima, for thinking and putting this together during such times. Because when everyone is thinking, wanting to be sad, here we are trying to rejuvenate everyone. So yes, and I did attend the earlier workshops myself, and they're really thought provoking. So I do hope that mine serves the same purpose. And thank you to all the teachers for making time on a Saturday evening. I know what it means. So without further ado, let's just start. Today we are talking about art integration. And before I start, the going through the slides, and we would be doing some interaction. Just if possible, try and have a quick grab some paper and pencil, and have pencil, pen, whatever you can with you, because we are going to do some small fun stuff as we go along the way. And don't worry, no one's going to see, judge, or pass comments on what's happened. It's only for self-realization. So thank you once again, everyone, for being there. And I think we can start. I'll be showing some slides and walking you all through it. Lots of examples. Yeah, visible?
Yes, it's visible.
All right. So yes, it's a workshop on integrating art into our lessons and curriculum. So let's evolve together. Do these sound familiar to you? Applying prescribed curriculum to all types of students in the era of personalized learning. Distracted students, large class strength, but everyone's expecting them to be active and participate into the classroom so that whatever is going on, they can absorb and imbibe. There is limited time, uh, and of course now with the digital education, there's a lot more distance and lack of connect that teachers are facing with kids. While these are the challenges that teachers face, there are some little thoughts that children have in their minds. The first being, why are the lessons so boring? Why do we have to sit in the classroom and watch and look at the blackboard for 30 minutes or probably 2 hours before we get a teeny mini lunch or snack break of 15-20 minutes? Uh, as the classroom goes ahead, teachers ask questions, children get judged, they draw their own conclusions. Why am I not just like my friend? I could be better or worse. So, why do these things sound familiar to you? Reflect upon them, because it's been a little while since we actually interacted with our kids face to face in the physical world. But these are the questions that have come up time and again uh, in our classrooms and schools. So yes, the teachers of 21st century are undeniably dealing with new challenges. They are now more accountable for students' overall development. Uh, Today's world requires them to be holistically aware and groomed for the work environment that they're going to face in the future. It's no longer just scoring in the subjects. So let's breathe life back into our classroom and let's do it through art integration, because the beauty of the changed times is that we have more resources than what they used to be earlier. So this is just a short survey that Adobe had done across 13 countries in Asia Pacific. 71% agree that educators should be creative regardless of the subjects they teach. So it doesn't matter if you're a math teacher or a science teacher or language teacher, you need to be creative into your classroom. Again, 56% feel that educators are primarily responsible for creativity. They are the ones who seed this thought and encourage creativity among students. We also have parents' perspective that says 30% of the parents feel that creativity should be integral to school curriculum. And I read out the last one though. 8 of 10 people feel that creative education is important to an overall growth of the country because those people think and bring problem solving abilities to table. So let's move in that direction. Okay, just give me a moment. I think, are you able to read all the text on the screen?
Hi. So, there aren't just comments. People are just, putting in feedback about what they like about the slide, etc. Some of these are nice takeaways for us to remember. If in case there's a query, I will interrupt you at
No
that point.
problem.
But
I
please
just
go
wanted
ahead.
to know if you're able to read everything on the screen.
Yes, we are. It's
Yes.
all
Okay.
visible,
All right.
crystal clear.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. So before we go ahead, uh, what do we understand by art integration? We do have drawing classes in the school. We do have dance classes. Some are more advanced to music classes and so on and so forth. So what do we understand by art integration into teaching? Um, in simple words, it means that when students engage in creative process, which connects an art form and a subject and meet evolving objectives of both. It's not just one in service of the other. So that's how, that's what it means by integrating art into your lessons, because art by itself is also a subject, just like how math and science are. So let's go through a couple of more definitions by what we understand and what are the stages of this art integration. There are three ways in which you can integrate art into your school curriculum and your lessons. The first one is art as a curriculum, which means just like how you learn math in standard 1, standard 2, standard 3, and so on, you learn art as a subject. And that's exactly how currently art is being integrated. So we have drawing classes, dance classes, music classes, each with its own level of progression, own level of assessment, etc. That's one form of integrating art into your school curriculum. Another one is art enhanced curriculum, which focuses on art to explore a curriculum concept, which means that art does this, you are using an art technique and art style to explain your lesson. So you probably use dance, or you probably use drawing, visual art, etc., to explain math, so that it becomes interesting for children, it becomes engaging for children. So that's another way, which is called art enhanced lessons. The beauty of these lessons is that they can be developed independently by teachers. This myth of I need to be an artist to do an art integrated lesson is just something that it's a myth. It's not required. You don't need to be a trained musician or a drawing or a dance teacher to actually develop a lesson and integrate art forms into it. These can be independently developed. Yes, you need to be art enthusiast. You need to like art, and that I'm sure each and every one of us do like some or the other form of art, and we are passionate about it in some way or the other. So here, basically, art helps or serves to build academic knowledge. When you start this, when usually you start art integration, you start with art enhanced curriculums, and eventually where you reach is art integrated curriculum, which is where art becomes a method for exploring curriculum. In this style, lessons have dual objectives. These are always created with both the parties, the subject matter teacher and the art teachers coming together. This is necessarily a collaborative activity. It is not an independent person driven activity, because when you're teaching something, you're making that the learning outcomes are equitable. You can, the journey starts with art enhancement, and when more and more and more teachers collaborate, more and more and more teachers use these techniques, you eventually have an art integrated curriculum that runs into the school, where the art lessons have their progression developed in line with the curriculum progressions. So what we are going to do today is we are going to see a lot of examples of art enhanced lessons. Okay, when we start with art enhanced lessons, we will eventually, inevitably, make an art integrated curriculum. Why is creativity rated so high in the classroom? And this part is the most interesting part. Art integrated lessons result into better absorption of subject. Of course, that's the primary objective that we have. But it also results into skill development like emotional and social learning, learning creative and critical thinking, collaboration, problem solving, communication. These are the skills that just happen to be another outcome of the lesson without you even trying to do something separately for it. And that's the beauty of having an art integrated lesson. It just balances and makes a holistic development happen for a child. Let's see some examples. I'm probably rushing through this. I want to reach the examples fast because that's how one is trying to demonstrate how we can integrate art into the lessons. Okay, so I've tried to take one subject and different art styles, and then same thing I've tried to do for different subjects, trying to give you as many examples that I can, so that they serve as thought starters for everybody. These are not limiting at all. Just think of it as, you know, something that provokes your thinking, and probably you'll think of a better idea. So math teaching shapes and angles. Um, I think this is quite self-explanatory, but if I would have told you that let's teach maths using movement, you would have wondered. So all you need to do is get children to think of different shapes. They have been learning shapes since they are in kindergarten. So they already know in class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we keep on progressing on this subject. Show them the shapes if you want them to have some kind of a recall. Now challenge each one of them to find these shapes or create these shapes using their body. Yeah. Can we quickly take a minute and think of some shapes on our body ourselves? Just use the face quickly. Now that's a clue I gave you. So do we have some answers?
Yeah, I mean, we can look at our eyeballs. The shape of our mouth is also oval. You can actually look at the blush sometimes on your face, and you know, that's a nice round patch.
Yes.
The
Yes.
shape of the face,
Yes.
you know, circular, oval.
Yes.
Sometimes it's
You have a
narrow.
nose that's a triangle.
That's a triangle.
Yes. And I actually had a kid, okay, who made an O and told me there's a circle.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So,
even the teeth, your teeth can
yes,
be square
squares.
like, right?
Yes,
Rectangle,
absolutely. Absolutely.
pointed.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
opens our
Absolutely.
mind up to so much. Thank you.
So much. Absolutely. And with kids whose mind is already open, they just enjoy this. And the beauty of it is they watch each other, and they see more and more and more body parts being used to form shapes. Uh, when they create this, to make this a little bit more engaging for them, what you can do is just add a bit of music, and ask them to sequence these in their mind. They can make their own sequence. They just need to define the sequence once, listen to the music, and then repeat it. You're not going to have to teach them sequencing separately. And they are going to do this thinking it's a fun PT exercise that's happening with them. Now, when you extend the lesson into making them into smaller groups and ask them to depict these shapes as groups, you will see a lot. One, you'll see their mind starts working from out of their body into collaborating with other children. So it's from self to the world. And they start forming different shapes with each other to an extent of it's amazing to see how children can use observe and use length and breadth and width amongst each other. They'll use a taller kid, they'll use a shorter kid, and they just evolve into amazing stuff. So yes, that's one thought you can attempt teaching shapes and angles using movement. And of course, if you are teaching more than one class, then you can take the whole thought forward and teach them angles using the same technique. So this is one thought. We are going to do math with drawing coloring, that's visual art, and math with storytelling, language art. So let's see how the same subject, if you're more comfortable with visual art as a topic, if you're more comfortable with language art as a topic, how do you take that forward? This will also tell you, and especially for teachers of primary classes, who teach more than one subject in a classroom, it helps you integrate different subjects as well as you are taking your lessons forward. Symmetry, we all know we can use visual photography to trigger thoughts on symmetry. uh, Vertical lines, horizontal symmetry. So we are using photography, which is one form of visual art, to start the thought process on symmetry. And then you are going to use your art class and teach them how to do basic mandala art, okay, keeping the concept of symmetry, because mandala art is always symmetrical. So they are going to learn about photography, they are going to learn about an art style, they are going to learn about math, symmetry as a concept. And this is not going to take more time because you already have a math session, you already have an art session. All you are doing is using that time effectively. This is quite an interesting one. Uh, how sometimes we always use art to teach. What if we use art to assess what have they understood? So here is a example of how do you apply the principle of mathematics. So the simple thing over here is how would the artist have been able to get the perfect number of feather strokes to fit around the base of this ancient Greek empire? How did he get this? Get your students to think, and they will automatically apply the principle of division to arrive at this. This is not necessarily, I have chosen an art style just now to demonstrate a little higher grade deliberately, because I feel that up to class one teachers still take in effort to be do fun stuff. But as children keep growing, the class starts getting more and more and more academic in nature. But this can be very, very easily applied to younger children as well. You only need to take a little bit more simplistic drawing. You can actually take a drawing from a drawing book or make a drawing into a drawing book. It's completely open to how you're going to use this thought forward. Storytelling and fractions. So yes, if you want to teach combine language and art, then here is this fun story of Rosa and Danny, and how one teacher comes to school one day and what happens on the football ground. So Rosa and Danny joined friends from their class. Do you think everybody will make it to the team? Kate asked. I hear they cut half the kids who try out, Mike said. Wow, that would be one every two players. Just then a loud whistle blew. Everyone looked around the field. A tall man walked towards them. It's the coach, Kate said. He's the teacher at the middle school, Mike said. He teaches math, and so on and on and on and on and on. If you're teaching language and math in your classroom, just see how beautifully this can integrate. What are the new words that they have learned in language? and how has the concept of math woven into the story. So that was math and language. Yes, science and EBS and theater. Everywhere you probably find me putting dance and theater and movement on the top because I love them. As simple as that. Performing arts, and we are going to do science or EBS because it's called differently in the different kinds of schools. How are we going to do it? Through visual art, teaching life cycles, divide class into groups, explain and give each group a write-up on life cycle to present. You may want to do butterfly with one group. You may want to do frog, plant. You may also want to include human. You may want to show them pictures for reference and give them some YouTube links or animated versions to understand what it is. This is self-understanding. I have not opened a textbook as yet. It is, you are behaving like you're actually preparing them for a school annual day or some presentation function. They are encouraged to use props from home or school, nothing fancy. Uh, the only condition is they need to present the whole life cycle. They can choose music, but they cannot have a dialogue. So there is no verbal communication allowed, so that they learn to express everything using sequencing of movement and props and emotions. And when one group presents it, the second group has to guess what life cycle, which life cycle is gotten presented. Don't give too much time to children because we are not looking at a theater performance here. The whole concept is to make sure that the props aid them to communicate their thought and not overtake the whole idea of presenting the subject. You and with this style of theater, you can use you can teach them solar system. You can teach them functions of different institutions, uh, and yes, it can also be used to enact any of the language based stories that you may have for them to do. Birds and their habitat, visual art. Here I've tried to show two examples of how learning objectives can be achieved. Uh, show them visual painting of, here I've chosen to take a macaw and a sparrow, two completely distinct environments, two distinct art styles, and two birds of very distinct physical features as well. Get them to think about the type of bird it is. What is the physical feature that they see? Ask them to observe the habitat. Why? Because one stays in wild while the other is very domesticated. These objectives are the subject objectives. What you want them to learn about birds and their habitat. While they are doing that, the integration means you're helping them achieve a little bit more and learn about art as well. So describe the painting as in art. Is it colorful? Is it black and white? So they start understanding these terminologies of art. Which coloring style has been used? If you have researched and you know that they have used pencil sketching over here, vis-a-vis watercolor over there, or poster colors over there. Start talking to them so that they learn to see art. They learn different art techniques. Otherwise, they are just bullet points in their drawing books. So these are the art outcomes that you may choose to develop alongside your academic lessons. And that's what we mean when we are doing art integration. Even when we saw the math example of mandala art, the whole objective is to have a step-by-step mandala art being taught to children. So on one hand, you're achieving the math lessons on symmetry. On the other hand, you're achieving making them learn about art, and they're connecting the dots. This can be done as an assignment. This can be done in class as group activity, ideally, or can be done as individual activity. The same lesson, I've taken another take on it and used collage as that, which is another art technique that they can learn. You can give them, like I've taken Macau here just to extend the same example. You may choose to give different birds to different groups and then decorate the whole class with it. And your lesson is done. Not only they will know what is there in the book, they probably know a lot more than what is there in the book. They'll also learn about what do you mean when you say a collage, what do you mean when you say a mixed media, because they'll use photographs, they may use paintings, they may use cutouts, craft, all different kinds of media to express these. And before I go to language, some of these techniques, and I've mentioned it ahead as well, can be used in this day and time of digital learning as well. So maybe performing arts, you'll need to wait for your schools to reopen, but these you can implement, especially visual art can also be implemented when you are teaching digitally, remotely to your children. Language. The key focus of language is, of course, as everybody would agree, is listening, speaking, reading, writing, vocabulary, and grammar. The English textbooks are there to aid and facilitate these skills. So let's see how we can do language. And this time we are going to use puppetry as a performing art style. And we'll see another example of language and a movie, which is also another form of visual art. This is a story and a poem. You can take it from your textbook. You can select whichever one you feel like giving it to your kids. Ask them to interpret it. Make notes on what they think is being communicated. For younger kids, if you're trying to use puppetry, then you may want to ask them some pointed questions so that they can arrive at the nuance of the poem. They need to understand that, okay, the poem is between two birds, the one is talking, the other one, they are both having a conversation, and what does it mean? Now, the next thing they need to do is make puppets of these birds and tell the story or the poem to the classroom. Even if you select 2 poems and divide your classrooms into like 8 groups. So you'll have 4 groups doing one kind of poem and for another 4 groups doing another kind of poem. It will still bring in so much more variety to the class, and they will learn so many different perspectives. At the same time, to achieve our art objective, we are going to teach them simple craft on making birds, or we are going to teach them how to make puppets using cutouts and string and beads and things like that. Simple puppet making activities. They are going to learn how to make puppets. They are going to learn how to use puppetry as a tool to communicate, and they are going to learn the lesson in English. It serves all your LSRW objectives. Language and visual art. Divide class into pairs, 2 kids. Give each student a piece of art which is unique. they need to this time write about that piece of art, whatever their interpretation of that art is, and explain it in words so that the other person is able to understand what they are talking about, what art piece are they talking about. It's like playing damsharads, but instead of movie, we are playing it with art. Yes, you will need to guide them on how to look at art, because that's also a technique that they're learning alongside. Please feel free to use illustrations, paintings, sculptures, photograph, photos, uh, different kinds of visual uh, mediums, so that their vocabulary, their way of viewing art, and their presentation of their thought all is enriched. Guide them in the beginning of uh, what is this kind of visual, what is the story, is there a story that the art is depicting, what comes to their mind, what is different about this particular art piece, does it mention any region, era, any artist that they can think of. Uh, these are the ways in which you will train them to think on how to see the art. This can be easily used for composition, essay, story writing, review writing, critical writing, all kinds of different uh, writing assignments. Yes, and we are going to see a short movie, and then I'm going to come back to this.
Make your writing clear and concise, no matter where you are. Compose a cover.
Ma'am, all okay?
Yeah, I'm just trying to switch to show them a short movie clip.
Sure.
Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, visible.
Great. This had gone viral sometime back. So pretty much gives you an idea of, what one is saying. Show them short silent clips. Asked to write the story, you'll be surprised with the versions you'll get. Dialogues, you may also use to, ask them to make it into script. Give them ask them to write a critic's view. These are all the different techniques of, and all of these are grammar subjects, right? You want to teach them dialogue writing, story writing, script writing, etc. Use visual art. Use a movie. It's lot more than entertainment. And if you select it well, there is a lot that you can do with this, where the outcomes of SEL will be phenomenal. So yeah, like I said that, a lot of these visual techniques can be used during this time of digital learning as well.
I'm just going to add in, there are amazing sites with curated videos and,
Yes.
dialogues, etc.
Yes.
You must access LinkedIn
Yes.
and, scroll through Edutopia. These are well curated sites, which
Yes.
information, especially for the primary educators, use social media to learn.
Yes.
So, this was an inspiring video, and we forget that it trended just before the pandemic. But imagine using this through it just evokes a lot, lots of concentration as well. So I've picked up
Yes.
5 other things because I wasn't listening, I was observing.
Observing, yes.
Big plus point when you use audio visuals.
Yes, absolutely. So well said. So well said. Absolutely. I know I've missed out on simple crafts. I've tried to include them as well over here. Some simple craft things that we do in our craft class, but we just do them independently. Let's just connect them to the lessons that we have. We make children do pinwheel flowers. These are just some common art that I find: pinwheel flowers, flip books, etc. When they create those pinwheel flowers, bring them into your language class and make them learn opposites or synonyms or prepositions using these. Flip books are an excellent idea if you want to teach them about animals, their young ones, and habitat. Just mix and match. They get the flip book, they get your EVS lesson, and no more time is invested. And art integration does not require extra time, right? Just like we saw silent movie, wordless stories. These are again very effective tools to use for children. Ask them to look at this visual and talk about what they see. Make their story, talk about it, especially what is it that they liked or they thought could have been better. We don't know. This is just one idea. They may have some new strange ideas of how these donkeys could have eaten the grass together. sequencing, math sequencing using sound. We always show them pictures and numbers and make them do sequencing. But what if you make them say animal sounds and then sequence them, and it will be so much fun when they say it one after the other in quick succession. uh, it's just, yes, there will be chaos, but it will be super fun. They learn animal sounds and they learn it through music, not to mention the math concept of sequencing. Keyword stories is one of my favorite ideas, and I think that we leave it behind after preschool. But why don't we bring it back to our classroom and use it to teach nouns, pronouns? You can also teach them, if you think about it properly, to teach maths, to teach lines, to teach EVS concept of cultures and homes and people and seasons and so many stuff. Using these, it's like I said, these are just to provoke thinking, and horizon is the limit. Before we go to things to note, I want to do that small little exercise. If participants have a piece of paper and pencil, what I want you all to do is draw yourself. And don't worry, no one's going to see because you're not going to show it on the video. But close your eyes and draw yourself and flip the page. Once you're done drawing yourself, turn the page. Yeah? Okay. So now what I need you all to do is, the activity that I'm going to make you do is to feel yourself. So I need you to close your eyes, take your hands right here up on your head. Okay, close your eyes, feel your head. Feel your forehead, the back of your head. Yeah. Now feel your face, your nose, eyes, mouth. Bring it down to your throat. Feel your shoulders. If you're wearing something, are you wearing any neck piece or earrings or anything? Just feel them. Feel your hair if you've tied or left it loose. Yeah. Okay. Down to your chest, to your stomach. Feel your arms. Down up to the leg. Now you flip the side of the page. Now close your eyes and draw yourself again. Okay. Compare the two drawings for yourself. And
many
we
more
just did,
details.
yes, absolutely. And we did a quick one, but if you actually do this, it's like a proper 5-7 minute exercise. The whole idea is that we just did it for less than a minute, and we are so much more aware of ourselves. Imagine using this awareness into your classrooms. I just want, this is just a demonstration using a basic baby kinesthetic activity that I did of how a simple awareness technique helps you absorb so much more. And here we just did it on the self. We're not even talking about surroundings and people around us or any of those things. So this was one short exercise we did. We'll go back to the slide share quickly. And so things to note, yes, when you're doing art integration lesson, there are things to keep in mind. Go slow. You don't have to design an art integrated curriculum tomorrow morning. Decide, select one or two lessons, three lessons across different topics. You may start, choose the art style that you are comfortable with, you are familiar with. So if you prefer visual art because you've always liked drawing or coloring, or you're a movie buff, or so choose that style. Select the lesson, select your art style, try and marry so that both give maximum output to you. Define the learning outcomes. This is not about just fun and games. This is to teach. Be very clear of what do you want them to learn. What is that one thing in your lesson that you want children to take home forever and ever? And then design your lesson plans to achieve that. You don't design a lesson plan and then figure out the objective. I decided that, okay, I want them to learn about different birds. I want them to learn about their habitats. And that is what my visual art lesson is going to achieve. And then I go and select my visual art lesson accordingly. Not that I found the visual, so let me teach it. Pre-plan your in-process and reflection questions. This is as important as selecting your art style. Children will not get it if you do not ask them right questions. Ask them to reflect correctly after the lesson is done. It is very important to channelize that thought process for them. So please make it's a list of questions that will be a part of your lesson plan. And the questions will achieve your subject outcome. They will make them think about the art and the skills that they have learned. Please help them join the dots. And therefore, it's important that you join the dots before in your plan. It's necessary to do warm-up exercises. When you're doing an art integrated curriculum, you cannot just walk into the class and expect them to look at a painting and start understanding. Cue their mind to what is coming to them. So always do a warm-up exercise about 5 to 7 minutes to get children ready for the task. And yes, the warm-up exercise needs to be related to the art style that you've chosen to teach your lesson in. If you're doing movement, then please do warm-up for movement-based exercises. Like the one we did just now, make them bodily kinesthetically aware, make them feel the space and place around them. If you're doing visual art, then talk about colors and paintings and the day outside, and little bit cue their mind to what is going to be coming to them. Ensure children get a break after the lesson. This is something that I have observed. When you do art integrated lessons, the best time to do them is either before a lunch break or before the school is closed for the day. Simply because art integrated lessons provoke a lot of thinking in children, and that exchange of thoughts that they do with each other helps them learn better and more. And hence it is important to give them that thinking space and time. If you do an art integrated lesson and then immediately ring the bell and take them to a next class where it's again chalk and board, it will be lost. So please keep your timings in mind when you do them. Yes, when you use performing arts, please plan for space, because when they're learning performing arts or movement based exercises, they're also learning a lot of techniques that that specific art brings to table, which is a sense of space, sense of time, sense of rhythm. These are all different senses that we are evoking in them, and they're going to learn about it as you start using this technique. And yes, there is no right or wrong. Allow children to express their opinions freely. You'll be amazed at the kind of thoughts and ideas that they come up with. When you do art integrated lesson, it's like a movie director. You know, you're planning it in a way, and then you're going out there and implementing. But the kids who are your actors bring so much more to table and enhance your movie beyond your expectations. But it will only happen if you are open to receiving it. So yes, don't judge. That's not the objective. This is a little bit of we all know why creativity in classroom is rated so high, but let's just revisit to affirm our beliefs. It takes away the stress. We don't need children to learn thinking that, oh my god, it just takes away the interest. So bring the interest back and the knowledge will find its way into their minds. It helps them express themselves. And today's day and age, emotional development is probably equally or more important uh, than just the traditional learning. It triggers. It also builds something called tolerance and acceptance. With the changing society, you will notice that children become a little bit more difficult. Uh, at times, they find it hard. They argue, and it is not their fault. It's just they are the reflection of changes in the society. But through art integration, and because of art integration, the reason that they will collaborate and communicate with each other, they will learn to accept ideas of other people. They will learn to know that a problem can be solved in so many different ways, and they're all acceptable. It helps them make various connections and see relationships very differently. The way they see math and science, you are just breaking the barriers between the subjects. They will learn to see a math and a language not as two different subjects, but as a holistic learning. And the most important thing as an educator, what it does to you, it is enriches you tremendously. Try this method and you will find a new person who's just so much more happier. Yes, overcome your fears and let's evolve. And to overcome our fears, we need to face them. So we'll quickly do that. First, I'm not an artist. There's no time to do this. It's one more thing now for me to do. I'm already preparing. I'm already doing lesson plans, assessments, etc., etc., etc. There's a lot that a teacher does. Now you're adding one more. Then we have creativity takes time. So let's leave it to the art teacher. We view subjects, exactly what I said earlier, is we have compartmentalized instead of viewing them as an integrated learning tool. We lack creative ideas because we don't research or push ourselves a little more, and motivation. Do one session using art integrated technique, and trust me, it will motivate. It's a virtuous cycle. It will motivate you. Yes, teachers have great idea but the struggle with implementation. This will improve with practice and a little bit of hand holding. Uh, Planning and assessing their creative lessons. Again, this will require practice, but trust me, like I said before, take baby steps. You don't have to, do everything tomorrow morning, take one lesson. As you implement the lesson, you will see the results, you'll see the outcome, you'll see the interaction, and you will know, okay, what else could I have done, and it will help improve. Fear of being judged by peers and students. Get over it, because we expect our children not to have this fear when we ask them questions into the classrooms. So why should we have it? Cooperate a little bit more amongst yourself. Uh, and art is not restricted to art class. A little bit of experimentation and collaboration solves most of this. And the biggest thing is teacher feels that, art integrated lesson takes more time. So here is an quick input. It does not take more time. Planning, however, takes more time, especially when you're doing it for the first time. But you anyways have at least 2 or 3 periods dedicated to a lesson. Think of these periods as your sessions which are together. And then see how you're going to integrate art and make it effective. It will take the same time. If you have an art teacher and you suddenly want her to come into the view, then she feels, no, my art integrity is tampered with. This is not how it is taught. This is not how it is done. And suddenly the subject teacher is going to dump everything on me. Or they may say, okay, now this teacher can teach art also, so we may not need art teachers. No, 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 no. They both need to come together, because then the effectiveness multiplies. What the knowledge integrates and grows to becoming something so beautiful. And yes, schedules. Like I said, the planning does require time. It requires time in the beginning, but once you get used to it, and once you've started integrating it, you'll be able to do it beautifully. So here is one short exercise that we can do quickly. Don't worry, like the first one, no one's watching it, but here I want you to share the ideas in the chat box. I want you to quickly think of a subject lesson. It could be your favorite subject lesson, whichever topic that you like. Think of the art style, okay, and make a lesson sentence. I'm going to show an example. So I'm going to connect math plus visual art. That's my thought. And under math, my students would learn about shapes. They would learn to identify and create them by using their bodies through movement. Okay. So now quickly, just think of your lesson. Think of the art style that you feel you're comfortable with, or helps learn the topic effectively, and make a quick lesson sentence. And you can write it on a piece of paper and post it, or you can just write it in the chat box. It's just fine. This is actually a brainstorming exercise that we are doing. So we are not here trying to see whose ideas are best. And with that, we'll end the session. When we there are any questions, or I would like to see some ideas. Science and theater art. Oh, wow. Ah, lovely. Any more ideas we have here? Yes. This can be beautiful, actually. Protons and neutrons. Add a little music and it will become more dramatic. Drawing and language arts, yes. moment. Absolutely, absolutely beautiful. So it's drawing and language art, and it also has an SEL outcome. Yes.
Thank you so much for you promised a thought-provoking session, and you can see you've actually evoked that. Everyone's thinking. I love the activities, especially the one where I drew myself, and then I actually drew myself. Uh, don't judge me on my art form, but I just realized that it opens your mind up to so much more, which you work in in silos, and you tend to be restricted because you want to finish that content and you want to get that assessment out and the homework corrected and put those marks in. This might take a bit longer, but I think you'll have more fun. You said it's therapeutic, whether it's theater, whether it's art. And I can see a lot of these comments coming up. Technology as well can be combined. Okay, so thank you for evoking this in a 1 hour session. I think you gave us statistics. You gave us excellent examples. I know what I can go back and do in my classroom. I know I want to read up more. The JF Kennedy Center is an excellent resource point. So thank you for pointing that out. And we often forget these are important organizations that do enough work that we don't research enough. I think that's the one standout for me. And you know what? You have actually pointed out that art can be collaborative. We keep talking about the 4 C's, but we never think of art being that unified force for teachers and students. And those shy ones, the ones we think will never have an idea, and these guys talk confidently, but they are not the creative ones. Suddenly you've opened up their world because you made them think. So thank you for the session. Those who logged in and said they wanted to be a part of the earlier sessions, all of this will go up on the ECA-APER website, including this one. You can write to info. Reshma, is that correct? Info at ECA-APER.org.
So the website is ECAADMN@gmail.com.
Sorry, I got that completely wrong, but thank you for clarifying that. But great, thank you so much. We had promised the best for last, and indeed you have. This is again a shout out to Kusum Kanwar, to Neelu Kalro, to Preeti Pasrija, I see some of them here, to Seema Negi, to Jaya Parekh, and thank you so much for giving us ideas. It was a painstakingly put together presentation. You can just see the kind of effort you put in, and you know what, your passion for art has inspired us. So thank you on that note, and stay well everyone, stay safe. Thank you once again, and another big shout out to Swati ma'am. I call her the Iron Lady for a reason. She's inspiring, she's all inclusive. And Farzana ma'am, who's the Vice President Mumbai Mentor. On that note, signing off, thank you Reshma for being so patient despite all your ECA work. Let's take this APER story forward and make it bigger and better, and make sure a lot more information reaches to primary educators. And I dare say K to 5, grade 1 to grade 5 are the crucial foundational years. We get it right in the earlier years, then we think about middle school, but these children are left. And you know what? Our problems will continue unless we are creative. So thank you for that. Really, truly honored to be a part of this session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.